It starts in a way you never see coming. One day you wake up and realize the person you once felt so connected to has started to feel distant. It is not always because of one big fight or an obvious betrayal. Sometimes it is the small, quiet changes that go unnoticed until they have already built a wall between you. The texts come less often. The conversations feel shorter. The laughter that used to flow so naturally now feels like something you have to work for. And no matter how much you try to explain it to yourself, there is a part of you that knows something is shifting. This is when panic can start to set in. Your mind begins to replay every interaction, searching for the exact moment when things started to change. Was it something you said? Something you did not do? You begin to wonder if you could have prevented it. You look for clues in his tone, his body language, his choice of words. You think if you can just figure out the exact reason, you can fix it. But the harder you search, the more confused you become. The truth is, relationships rarely fall apart because of a single mistake. They fade because of patterns that build over time. Sometimes it is comfort turning into complacency. Sometimes it is taking each other for granted. And sometimes it is simply life getting in the way, filling your days with so many demands that the connection between you slowly erodes. When this distance grows, it is tempting to chase after him harder, to send more messages, to ask more questions, to prove your value. But here is the paradox that so many women miss. The more you push, the further he feels the need to pull away. Not because he does not care, but because human nature resists what feels like pressure. When a person feels cornered, they instinctively look for a way out, even if they are not fully aware of it. The shift back into closeness rarely comes from chasing. It comes from something far more powerful, recentering your own life so that you become magnetic again. It means stepping out of the role of the pursuer and stepping back into your role as a woman who knows her value, with or without his immediate validation. This is not about manipulation. It is not about playing hard to get or following some cold set of rules. It is about understanding that attraction thrives in space, in mystery, in the feeling that the other person could lose something truly valuable if they do not act. When you stop pouring all of your attention into him and start pouring it back into yourself, something shifts in the energy between you. He begins to remember the version of you that first drew him in, the one who had her own world, her own spark, her own life that felt full even without him at the center of it. That is the woman he could not stop thinking about. That is the woman who caught his attention in the first place. And when he starts to feel that energy again, the desire to come closer naturally follows. The mistake many women make is thinking that the only way to fix the distance is to talk about it endlessly or to demand reassurance. But what often works better is a silent shift, not in what you say, but in how you carry yourself. When you move through your days with a sense of purpose, when you fill your time with things that make you genuinely happy, he feels the difference. Even if you never mention it, this is where confidence comes in. Not the loud, showy kind, but the quiet, steady kind that says, I know who I am, and I know what I bring. When that energy is present, it changes the way you interact without you even trying. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop overcompensating. You stop trying to convince him of your worth, because you know it without needing his confirmation. And here is the part most people overlook. When you step into this space, you are not only making it more likely that he will come back, you are also putting yourself in a position to decide if you even want him back. Because once you reconnect with the parts of yourself that you forgot, you might see the relationship in a different light. You might realize that some of the distance was not just about him pulling away, but about you losing touch with your own needs and desires. This self-shift is magnetic because it rebalances the dynamic. Instead of one person chasing and the other pulling away, there is a natural tension again. Tension is not always bad in relationships. In fact, it is part of what keeps attraction alive. It is the feeling that something is valuable enough to be pursued, that there is something left to discover. To create this shift, start small. Look at your daily routine and ask yourself where you have been neglecting yourself. Maybe it is the hobbies you used to love but no longer make time for. Maybe it is the friends you have not seen because you have been so focused on the relationship. Maybe it is your own personal goals that have been sitting in the background. Choose one thing today to bring back into your life, not because it will make him notice you, but because it will make you notice yourself again. As you do this, watch how your energy changes. Watch how your conversations with him feel different when they are coming from a place of fullness instead of need. Watch how he starts to lean in, even in subtle ways. The longer text messages, the calls that come without you initiating, the plans he starts to make. These are signs that the energy is shifting back in your favor. It is also important to understand that this process is not about pretending you do not care. Indifference is not attractive when it is fake. What is attractive is a woman who cares deeply, but does not lose herself in that caring. A woman who can give love without sacrificing her own identity. That balance is rare, and when a man experiences it, it stays with him. Sometimes the moment he truly realizes your value is when he sees you living your life fully without him having to be the center of it. It is when he notices that your world does not fall apart in his absence, and instead, it continues to grow. That is when curiosity turns into longing, and longing turns into action. If you are in the place right now where he feels distant, remember this: your power is not in convincing him to come back. Your power is in becoming so aligned with yourself that coming back feels like his own idea. When he feels that shift, when he sees that spark return, he will be reminded of why he was drawn to you in the first place. And here is the truth that might surprise you. Even if you are doing all the right things, the process might take time. People do not always recognize what they are missing immediately. But every time you choose yourself, every time you fill your life with things that light you up, you are creating an unspoken invitation for him to re-enter your world. The difference is, when he does, it will be into a relationship that is stronger, more balanced, and more aligned with the woman you have become. Before we go deeper, if you have ever felt the ache of someone walking away, yet sensed deep inside that the story was not over, the Jung method can help you see the hidden patterns that make them return, and the shifts in you that change everything. The link is pinned in the first comment. There is a truth most people do not realize until it happens to them. Sometimes the most powerful way to make someone come back is not to chase them, not to prove your worth, and not to beg for their attention. It is to create a life so deeply aligned with who you are that they cannot ignore the change. The person who left is expecting you to crumble, to reach out, to keep the connection alive at all costs. But when you do the opposite, you interrupt the pattern that keeps them comfortable in your absence. The moment they feel your energy shift is the moment they begin to question their decision. You stop being the predictable version of yourself they thought they knew. You stop offering the safety net of your constant presence. Instead, you become a mystery again, and mystery is what stirs their curiosity. This is not about pretending you do not care. It is about truly redirecting your energy inward, toward rebuilding the parts of yourself that were overlooked when you were together. It is about filling the spaces they once occupied with things that light you up, with connections that nourish you, and with goals that make you proud of who you are becoming. At first, this shift is subtle. You may still think about them, still miss them, but you channel that energy into something that feeds your growth. The more you do this, the less you need them to validate your worth. And paradoxically, that is when they begin to feel the pull to return. When you were together, they got used to your presence as something permanent. Now, they are forced to see that you can exist and even thrive without them. They notice the changes in your energy, even if you are not speaking. They see the way you carry yourself differently, the light in your eyes returning, the confidence in your steps. This shift is magnetic, not because you are trying to lure them back, but because you have stopped needing them to define you. In relationships, emotional balance matters more than words. When someone senses that you are no longer emotionally dependent on them, it changes the power dynamic. You are no longer the one waiting for them to choose you. You are the one choosing yourself. And this change makes them reconsider everything they thought they understood about you. It is important to understand that people are drawn to what feels alive. When you are stuck in pain, you radiate the heaviness of loss. When you are growing, exploring, and investing in yourself, you radiate vitality, and vitality is irresistible. This is why your focus must be on building a life that feels good to live, whether or not they return. Sometimes, they will test the waters. They will reach out casually, pretending it is nothing. They will comment on something you post, send a message late at night, or ask mutual friends about you. This is not random. It is their way of checking if you are still where they left you. Your job is not to punish them, but to stay rooted in the life you are creating. When they come back, and often they will, it is because the version of you they once knew is gone. In her place stands someone stronger, clearer, and more self-assured. They are drawn to this new version because it holds a power they cannot replicate anywhere else. But you must remember, Their return is not the victory. The real victory is that you no longer need them to feel complete. There will be moments when you are tempted to break the silence, to check if they are thinking about you. But every time you choose to stay committed to your own growth, you send a message louder than any words. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are living as if you already are. In time, this becomes more than a strategy to make them come back. It becomes your truth. The person who left was never the source of your worth. They were simply a chapter in your story, a chapter that taught you how to hold yourself through loss and how to rise from it. And when they do return, the choice will be yours. You will not be the same person who once feared their absence. You will be the one who knows that the deepest power is not in making someone regret losing you, but in knowing you would have been fine even if they never came back. There is a point in every separation where the person who walked away begins to wonder if they made the right choice. At first, they feel free, certain of their decision. They believe they will find something better, easier, or more exciting. But as time passes, the reality of their choice sets in. The spark of novelty fades. The attention they chased from others begins to feel shallow. The connection they once had with you becomes harder to replace. You must understand their mind will search for familiarity when the world becomes uncertain again. And you were their familiarity. You were their anchor. But if they come back and find the same version of you they left, the cycle will repeat. This is why the transformation you are going through now matters more than any plan to make them return. In this transformation, you stop making them the center of your universe. You start investing in yourself in ways you never did before. You say yes to opportunities you used to decline. You discover new passions, revisit old dreams, and connect with people who uplift you. You stop waiting for someone to notice you and start noticing yourself. The beauty of this process is that it shifts your energy in ways you cannot fake. You are not acting indifferent to get a reaction. You are genuinely building a life that excites you, and that authenticity is what makes it powerful. They can sense it even from a distance. Sometimes, they will try to re-enter your life, not because they are ready to commit, but because they feel the loss of your energy. This is why discernment is essential. You must be able to tell the difference between someone returning out of genuine love and someone returning out of fear of losing their influence over you. When you have rebuilt yourself, you no longer crave the validation of their attention. You see their return as an option, not a necessity. This changes the entire conversation. You are no longer asking, will they choose me? You are asking, do I even want to let them back into this version of my life? In this space of clarity, you can welcome them without losing yourself. You can hear their apologies without feeling like your worth depends on them. You can enjoy their presence without making it your oxygen dot. And here is the secret they never expect. The very moment you become truly okay without them is the moment they feel the deepest pull toward you. It is not desperation that calls them back. It is the strength, the confidence, the wholeness you now embody. That is the energy they cannot replace. You are not teaching them a lesson out of revenge. You are simply living in a way that makes them realize what they lost. The regret they feel is not because you punished them. It is because they finally see your value without the fog of taking you for granted. The path you are walking is not easy. It requires resisting the urge to prove your worth, to explain your change, to keep the connection alive. It asks you to sit with the discomfort of silence and to trust that your growth will speak louder than any message you could send. Over time, you will notice something unexpected. The longing you once felt so intensely begins to fade. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring more about yourself. This is the ultimate shift. It is the point where their return becomes a bonus, not a necessity. And if they do not return, you will not be broken. You will be proud, because you will know that the journey was never truly about them coming back. It was about you coming back to yourself. That is the real victory. So, let them wonder where you went. Let them feel the absence of your constant presence. Let them see the glow of your transformation without explanation. And when the day comes that they reach out, you will meet them not as the person they left, but as the person you became, the one who knows her worth, holds her ground, and chooses herself first. Because in the end, making someone regret losing you is not about manipulation. It is about becoming so aligned with your truth that losing you becomes the biggest mistake they ever made. And that kind of regret, it stays with them forever.